Hello everybody, hope you all are doing good out there. Thank you for joining me in this video. In this video we are going to be comparing the two types of multi-tools that are the most popular today. And there's two main types of multi-tools out there. If you decide that you're going to look and buy a multi-tool and you look up which ones are the best ones, you're going to run into two types. You're going to have what I will characterize as the Swiss Army knife style, which is basically a knife frame with other tools in it. And you're also going to run into what we will characterize in this video as the Leatherman style, which is more of a tool. It's more of a pair of pliers with a knife blade in it. So these are primarily a pocket knife with tools in them. This is primarily a toolbox with a knife in it. And the simplest way to look at it is these are usually one piece, one handle here, that tools fold out of, where these are generally going to be two pieces that fold out, and then the tools fold out of that. So that is the big difference. And when you start looking for a multi-tool, you're going to run into both kinds of tools. And so in this video, I want to talk about the differences between them, what makes one better than another in certain circumstances, what makes another better than the other in certain circumstances, and why I would carry one over the other. Now this is going to come down to preference and your personal needs. It's really what it comes down to. I like both a lot. But first, let's look at a knife style multi-tool. I picked two Swiss Army knives to represent this category. This one here is the Tinker, which is a simple basic one that's very useful. And this one here is going to be the Explorer. And I did the same thing with the Leathermans. I picked a simple one and a more complex one. We'll look at the simple one first. This is a Victorinox Tinker. You can get these for around 30 bucks brand new. You can get them for less than that used. I paid 10 bucks for this one used and cleaned it up. Your main tool is going to be this big spear point blade, knife blade. Excellent blade. It's going to cut great. Your secondary blade is going to be this little pin blade. Again, excellent knife. It's going to cut great. The Swiss Army knife handle is not tailored to be ergonomic, but because of its neutral shape, basically being a large oval or so, it feels good in the hand as it is, and so it's very comfortable. And if you were just carrying this as a knife, you would not be missing out on anything. It is an excellent knife. Then your second layer is going to have openers and screwdrivers. To illustrate this, on the left side of the knife, you're going to have a bottle opener, and you're going to have a large flat blade on the end. There you can see the flat blade right there. You also got a small wire stripper there. That does have a half stop, if it's a more modern Victorinox. Some of the older ones didn't. Then your other tool here is going to be a can opener, to open a can of carrots, can of beans, whatever it might be. And it's got a little bitty flat blade on the tip of it. So the second layer in your Swiss Army knife, the first layer is your two knife blades. Big knife blade and your little knife blade. The secondary layer is your big flat blade and your little flat blade, bottle opener, can opener, and a wire stripper. Then this one, being a Tinker on the back, is going to have a Phillips screwdriver instead of a corkscrew. Now with Victorinox, you're going to see a lot of corkscrews and a lot of Phillips. Depends on the model which one's on the back. If I'm carrying it with me every day, I want to have a Phillips. Now, we'll come back to the Explorer in a minute because it's unique in that it does have a Phillips and a corkscrew. But for the average Victorinox, you're going to get one or the other on the back. This one, because it's a Tinker, you can see it has a Phillips. And then right after that, you're going to have a little awl. This works really well. I use it all the time when I've got one of these on me. In the scale itself, you're going to have a little pair of tweezers. And on the back side, on the pile side, you're going to have a little plastic toothpick. And that is your basic Swiss Army knife. Now, Swiss Army knives get bigger or smaller depending on the model. But this is the one that I think most people would like to carry because it's not too thick in the pocket and it's not too expensive to buy. But yet you're still getting your flat blade, your Phillips, your knife blades. That's what most people are going to be looking for in a multi-tool. Now, this is a fancier kind of an knife style multi-tool. This is the Victorinox Explorer. It's one of my favorites. You're going to have the same large spear point blade. Your secondary blade is also going to be the same. This little pin blade. You're going to also have that same second layer that the other one had, with your bottle opener and your big flat head and your can opener and your small flat head, and you also got your wire stripper on the bottle opener. But what makes this one unique is what Victorinox does with the different models, is they start putting more tools in between those two layers. Now this one is called the Explorer. And this particular model comes with a pair of scissors, excellent scissors. You cannot beat the scissors on a Victorinox Swiss Army knife. They are excellent. They are absolutely wonderful. That's all I can say about them. Now this one, being the Explorer, is going to have a magnifying glass, which is pretty neat. I'll show you how it works here. We'll bring in the Mikov fish knife. See if I can do this without it losing focus. You can see that the magnifying glass works really well. It will really magnify a word. So this is not a gimmick on this knife. It is not a gimmick. It works good, and it's really cool to have on a knife. And then on the other end of the knife, you're getting this wonderful Phillips. Again, it's kind of uncommon for a Swiss Army knife if as a corkscrew to also have a Phillips, but this one does, and it's an inline Phillips. This one would be like a T handle, where this one is an inline Phillips. This is going to be much, much more useful at different kinds of screws. You know, this will work a lot of times, but not all the time. If it's up close to something, like up against, if it's up against a 90-degree angle or something, like a box, you know, you turn that, it might hit. You may not be able to rotate that well. This one, you won't have a bit of problem. And if you need more leverage, you got a half stop. So that makes the Explorer just an excellent Swiss Army knife. You also got your tweezers and your toothpick just like the other. You do have an corkscrew on the back of this one. Now the corkscrew can come in handy for getting knots loose and for other things where you need to kind of poke or gouge around in something. But it works excellent at getting knots loose. You also have a little place on these to put a pin in there. A little safety pin. See if I can pull that out of there. That's not a Victorinox brand pin. I put that in there. I got it out of a shirt, I believe. You got a partial hook because you got the scissors, and you got your awl again. So this is just an excellent Swiss Army knife, but it's getting kind of fat and it's getting a little bit heavier. We'll weigh these here before we end out today, but now we're going to move on to the Leatherman style tools. We're going to start with the more simple one, then move up to the fancier one. This is the original Leatherman, the Leatherman PST. All the tools are going to open from the inside, which means that the outside is going to be smooth, which I really like in the pocket and in the hand. You can also see you got your roller on the side here. To use one of these, you open them up just like this, you unfold them. When you do, you've got an effective pair of pliers. You're going to have your needle nose at the top, regular plier jaws here in the middle, like if you need to grab a bolt or something. Then you're going to have your wire cutters under that. So there's 3 tools right in there. Well, 4 tools if you're counting your measurer. Then inside of the knife, you're going to have your knife blade. Now, to use this, you'd just close it up like that. And now this is brilliant because this is a slip joint, as you can see. It has no locking mechanism, but it cannot close on your hand because it hits this bottom side, see? So if you're holding that, it's as safe as it can be, unless you're putting your finger out here in front of the blade, in which case you shouldn't be using it at all. But it's got an excellent blade shape. Looks great. It's not a huge blade, but it's plenty big enough, just to compare it to the Swiss Army knife blade. It is thicker, though. The spine is thicker on the Leatherman than it is on the Swiss Army knife. See if I can get that comparison. But this is not meant to be as delicate of a knife. This is a hard-working knife, is the way that I take it anyway. So you got your knife blade. And inside the handle here, you're going to have some other tools. You're going to have this big flat blade. I got some oil on there I got to wipe off. So you're getting your big flat blade like this. And again, it's in line. To compare that, this is the flat blade on the Victorinox. This one is going to be easier to get into a recessed area than this one. Also, it's a little thicker stock. And it can't close on you because of the handle. It can fold, but it can't close. So it's not going to get your finger. Your second tool is going to be a smaller flat blade. Just like that. You can see it's just smaller. It is not as small as the small flat blade on the Victorinox. It's wider than that. But again, notice how long it is and narrow it is. So it will fit good into a recessed area. Then the last tool on this side of the Leatherman is going to be this little punch, or this little awl. Now, this is an older Leatherman, the PST. I believe they have fixed the design of the awl since this one, and I think it's a little more efficient nowadays. But you can see you got an awl on both of them. It's a little bit longer on the Swiss Army knife. I don't use an awl very much, but either one I'm sure will do the job. Then on the Leatherman, the next tool you're going to get is a file. Oh, I love a file on a knife. It's excellent to have a metal file with you. You got a different texture. You got a straight cut on this side, a cross cut on this side. You've got it patterned down here so you can cut a little bit with it. Then it's smooth on the top. Excellent to have a file. Again, it can't fold up on you. Easy to access. Next, you're going to have this little bitty flathead. Now, this isn't on a lot of the new Leathermans because people broke these so often, I believe is the reason why they don't include them. But if you compare that tip, you can see it's just a speck smaller than the Victorinox's tip, but not by a whole lot. But again, you're going to be able to fit it into recessed areas because of its long, narrow tip, where you're not going to be able to do that on the Victorinox. The last two tools in the handle here is going to be, you've got your Phillips. And what a Phillips this is. This is a great Phillips here. It's a great tool. Again, it doesn't lock, but it can't close on you because you're going to be, holding it like this. So, I mean, that cannot close on your fingers when you're doing it. Now, if we compare that to the Phillips on the Tinker, they're probably equally good in terms of accessing a recessed screw, but in terms of a tight area, this one is going to be better because you're not dealing with the T-handle design. Now, if you compare it to the Phillips style on a Victorinox Explorer, they're probably going to perform just about identically if you're in a tight spot or something. So I would say that these are pretty much on par with each other, although I do believe that you could probably apply a little more torque to the Leatherman without having to worry about it bending or so on because of the metal construction. I would be scared to apply a crazy amount of tension to the Victorinox. It'll tighten any screw plenty tight enough, but getting other screws that have been over tightened loose, I might be a little more concerned about bending one of these liners in the Victorinox, because if I remember right, I believe they are aluminum, where you're getting steel on the Leatherman. But both of these screwdrivers are excellent. Can't go wrong with either. And then the last tool here on this Leatherman PST is going to be this little can opener. This is a can opener / bottle opener, so it will do either or. Where on the Victorinox, you're getting two separate tools for the task. They've got one tool that does both tasks on the old PST. So this is kind of a basic, simple Leatherman. The Leatherman Bond would be the closest, newest knife to this one. But if you look in used pawn shops or antique shops or on eBay or whatever, you can find these used and they're an excellent buy. But because this is an older tool, I'm going to show a newer, more popular Leatherman these days, and that's going to be the Wave. This is not the Wave Plus. The Wave Plus has removable wire cutters, so you can replace them, but that's the only difference. Now, this is a fancier version of a Leatherman, in the same way we looked at a simple and a fancier version of the Swiss Army knife. You can get outside accessible tools with a Leatherman Wave. You're also going to be getting an liner lock right there. And of course the liner lock is just excellent. You don't have to worry about the blade folding in on you. So when we compare this to a Swiss Army knife, this is going to be easier to open, easier to close, because you can do it one-handed. You're going to get two blades. One blade is going to be serrated. One blade is going to be just a straight flat edge. Again, the serrated blade is going to have liner lock. You can tell the serrated blade because they put some serrations on the top there. So you can feel it with your thumb to see which blade is what, because the regular blade is just smooth. You're getting your metal file on the Wave. Diamond texture here, cross-cut texture. Again, textured so you can cut with it on the bottom. Again, it locks into place. On the other side, you're getting an excellent wood saw. You can get excellent wood saws on the Victorinoxes also. The Huntsman and the Camper are two that have them. Again, it's going to lock into place. As for the tools, on something like the Leatherman Wave, you're going to get a good pair of scissors. Now, these scissors, I don't believe, are to the same quality of the Victorinox scissors, but I think that's because of what they're meant for. The Victorinox scissors, in my opinion, are meant for more of a gentle, I'm going to say an urban kind of a use. You know, they're made for cut and thread, slice and paper, stuff like that. Where these scissors here are not meant to be as refined, I don't believe, but I have used these for cutting zip ties and wicks and all kinds of stuff, and they do excellent for that. I think they just had a different purpose in mind. All the tools on this Leatherman Wave are going to lock. You just got to push the release on the bottom, and you can fold it shut. You've got your big flat blade again, just like we saw on the other Leatherman. It is shaped a little different, and again it locks into place. Then deep down in here you're going to have your little precision screwdriver. This is if you got glasses. It's hard to see on camera, but that is a Phillips on the tip. Pull it out, you got a flat head on the other side. So you can use whichever one you need, and if you break the bit, you can get a new bit and just stick right in there. Again, it locks into place. On the other side of this Leatherman, you're going to have your can opener / bottle opener, and this being a newer one has a wire stripper in it, so that's a good feature. Again, it locks into place. You cannot close it until you push this little lever, then you can shut it. And for the last tool on the inside, I know I've kind of rushed through this one, I don't want this video to be too awful long. You've got your bit driver. Phillips on one side, flat head on the other. Pop in whichever one you want. And you can even get bit sets that go in the pouch along with this to take with you. So you can have all kinds of tools. Again, this won't fold, and it works excellent. It will not be good as good at recessed areas as the other one was, but that just depends on which Leatherman model you're going for. If you buy the Bond, Rebar, or 300, Super Tool 300, you're going to get the same screwdriver like we saw in this older PST. And you're going to have your needle nose, your regular pliers, your wire cutters, hard wire cutters also. And you've also got your ruler on this one. And you got a lanyard that slides out if you want to. So all that being said, we've looked at a simple plier style multi-tool. And we've looked at a simple Swiss Army knife multi-tool. And we looked at a more fancy or more advanced version of each of these. So which is better? Well, the answer is, what is your intended use? If you're looking for a good pocket knife that can get some screws loose when you need to, with a Phillips and a flathead, the Swiss Army knife's $30. It'll probably do it. But if you're looking for a tool that can also cut, a tool that can remove 95% of screws you'll come across, a tool that can use pliers, if you're looking for a tool with a knife blade, you're going to want to go with a Leatherman. You can get these for 40 to 60 probably. You can get this one for somewhere between 50 to 100, depending if it's used or new. But these are built heavier, and they're built sturdier, and these are built to be used as tools, where these are meant to be a knife that can get you by when you need it. At least that's my opinion of it. These are a lot cheaper to buy and a lot easier to carry. But these work a lot harder when you need them to, and can do a lot more when you need them to. And so that is the give and take. What do you need? Do you need something that's sturdier and stronger, that can do more stuff, or do you need something that's easier to carry and can get you by when you need it? That's my thought on these two. They both have plenty of room in the knife world. I'm glad they both exist, and I like and use both of them. Y'all comment down below. What do you like? Do you prefer a knife style like these Swiss Army knives, or do you prefer an plier style like these Leathermans? Now, Leatherman also makes some of these styles, and Victorinox makes some of these styles. But for the most part, this is what the two sides are known for. Thank you all for watching. Comment down below. What's your favorite Leatherman? What's your favorite Victorinox? Have a good day. Keep your knives sharp.